as queer people, we get to choose our own memes. So that's one of my favorite ones right now, and I shall not be stopped. Hey, welcome to my video. If you're from my Instagram, I love you, and if you're not from my Instagram, love you all the same. So today, I am doing makeup, can you believe it? So I'm actually gonna dip my toe into fall adjacent makeup, as you can see today. Well, this is at least fall adjacent to me. And if you like this look and if you're interested in what I did to achieve it, then please keep watching. So I'm starting off with an eyeshadow primer, and as always, this is the P. Louise primer, but I am gonna try, emphasis on try, and apply it in a light layer. And I feel like for today, I want to do like an orange little moment, not like a bright orange, more of like a soft fall sunset orange type of moment. And I guess we'll see, you know. I always tend to imagine my looks looking one way, but then inspiration strikes completely differently and I always somehow end up looking like a clown, but that's not the point. Anyway, primer. Okay, now that that's done, we can move on to eyeshadow, and I feel like the plan is, okay, that for the most part, I'm gonna be using the Horse Girl palette by Trixie Cosmetics for this look. Now, this is one of my favorite releases this year, so I jump at the chance to use it anytime I possibly can. And so first of all, we're dipping into shade Hoedown, and for that, we're using a fluffy tapered blending brush. This is one by BH Cosmetics, and I'm just sort of stippling that shade onto my crease. So I'm not dragging the brush back and forth, I'm just laying the color down first and I'll blend it out later. But anyways, back to Trixie Cosmetics. I am not sponsored by them. This was not PR. They do not know that I exist. I do not collaborate with them in any way, shape, or form. I just genuinely love their products so much, and I mention them so often here on this channel that I feel like if you didn't know, you would maybe think that they're paying me or something, but they're really not. I wish though. Anyways, same brush, same shade. I'm just sort of winging it out at this point. So while I do that same thing to my other eye, I want you to let me know what your favorite season is. I personally, and I feel like I've said this, maybe I am a broken record after all, but anyways, I personally feel like I would really love fall if here where I live, we had a movie picturesque type of fall. Now, what I mean by that is literally imagine the leaves turning beautiful red, orange, and yellow colors, it being crisp outside but not too rainy and not too cold. If that was the fall that I had, that would be incredible. However, the fall that I get is literally rainy all the time. The weather can only just be described as gray, cold, muddy fall, and that I do not personally vibe with. I don't know about all of you, but I really personally just dislike the rain. It's not my vibe. Unless I am cozied up with a good candle and book at home, but you know, that's rarely the case. Although I wish that you could have at least a day a year, if it rains, you could just call in sick at work and be like, no, I'm just gonna stay at home today and read all day. Wouldn't that be fun? Also, I feel like that would be necessary for our mental health, okay? Anyway, one more thing I forgot to mention earlier is that I'm just taking the same brush, same shade again, and sort of just painting the outside of my moving lid. Okay, so now we got something that looks kind of like this, and so I'm just taking the same brush again, and I just wiped it off very lightly, and I'm just blending out the edges a little bit. I'm not too worried about this yet. It really doesn't even have to be too perfect at this point either. Now though, I'm gonna move on to a smaller, more detailed blending brush, and this is the Sigma E36, and I'm using the shade Giddy Up. I'm not gonna take it out as far as I did this last color. I don't want to cover up the whole thing. So basically, that was a really long and roundabout way of telling you that I'm just gonna keep it mostly into the outer crease and a little bit in the middle of my lid here. So I like to add a little bit of this at a time, just because you can always add more, but if you need to, it's really hard to take it off since you already have built a nice little base here. So I mean, that's just a cautionary tale that I have learned from, because I have made many mistakes and will continue to do so. But you know what? That's the beauty of makeup. Even if you mess up, you can just take it off later. But for right now, it's sort of looking like this. I really like these shades together. They're really giving a pumpkin spice type of vibe that I like to bring to the function. And I'm doing the same thing to the other eye, but honestly, you guys, I saw my chance and I took it and ran. Today is like the first cold and gloomy and very rainy day we've had, honestly, in a hot minute. And so I saw that and I was like, it's fall. Even though I think I might have jumped the gun a little bit because I looked at the weather forecast for the rest of the week and apparently it's going to be very hot again. So today may very well be just a blip, but you know what? It's never too early to get into the spirit of fall. I know some people are literally even already decorating and putting pumpkins out, which I think is very brave and fierce. I'm not there yet, but this is my way of beginning, you know? Okay, now again, same brush, but I'm taking an even darker shade. This is Cold Classic. And this is again going on the very outer corner, but again, I'm not covering the last shade that I applied. You see how I interrupted my eye look to apply some lip balm? Very mindful, very demure. Just because it's fall, that does not mean that we have an excuse to have crusty lips. Very cutesy, by the way. I know that that meme has been overused and beaten down to the ground at this point, but I really like it, so I'm still gonna keep using it. And I just really don't care. If I like something, if I become obsessed with something, or like if I become obsessed with a meme or a saying, I tend to repeat it and drill it down into the ground until absolutely all of my friends are sick of me. I'm sick of me. My neighbors are sick of me. And everybody I know is begging me to stop. And this time will be no different. As queer people, we get to choose our own memes. So that's one of my favorite ones right now, and I shall not be stopped, which had really nothing to do with anything. But what I was gonna ask you guys was to let me know if you have like some fall recommendations as far as TV shows go. I know, for example, that a lot of people love to rewatch the Gilmore Girls as soon as the leaves like start falling. And I gotta be honest here, and you can bring out the pitchforks or whatever, but I don't think I've ever seen the Gilmore Girls like top to bottom. Obviously, I've seen episodes and such, but I really don't even know what it's about. Or I know what it's about, but I don't know the full storyline. All that I know, and pretty much all that I'm interested in, is that Jared Padalecki plays a role. And you know what? That just might be enough to convince me to watch. Actually, you don't even have to comment if I should watch the Gilmore Girls. I have at this point convinced myself. Okay, moving on. So now that we've laid down our base colors, we're gonna go back in with the same ones, but in their reverse order, just in case we missed any little spots around the crinkles of our eyes and to intensify the pigment. So I'm gonna do that and then I'm gonna come back here. Okay, here we go, much better. So now that that's done, I'm just gonna take a flat brush, the foundation that I plan on using later, and I'm just gonna clean up around the edges and just sort of cut this so that it has a sharper shape and that it doesn't look this messy around the edges. I look as straight in a mirror as I can and just sort of sketch out a line following my lower lash line up, kind of like this. Then I'm going to take a cosmetic Q-tip, it could also be a regular one, and I'm just going to erase that, and by this point we're left with something like this. Obviously, when you apply your foundation, that's going to look even better later on, but for now I'm pretty happy with this. Okay, so the only thing that we have left to do is basically the shimmer. I am also going to bring some of the colors down to smoke out my lower lash line, but I normally do that after I finish my base, so that's why sometimes you don't really see that on camera. But for shimmer, we are opting to use a ColourPop palette today, and I'm going to grab the Precious Metals palette in the shade Special. So I'm just grabbing that on a flat brush and applying that to my moving lid. Okay, so the eye look for the most part is done. Now I'm gonna go do my base, but we will be back to make some important blush and lippy decisions together. Don't you love, by the way, how I pretend like this is a live video and you can like cast your vote live? When it's in reality, nothing of the sort, and I'll just pick whatever I feel like picking. But you know what? Let's live the fantasy together. But yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, here I am. I know I look a little crazy, but to be fair, my arms and legs have a pretty good tan going on, and my like décolletage and face area don't. So I'm in this weird stage right now where I'm trying to match my face to my body so that I don't look like a crazy person when I go outside, but that means that I look like a crazy person on camera because you can't really see the rest of me. And you know what? I always look like a crazy person on this channel, so I think that's fine. But anyways, we can move on to blush now. So for blush, I'm thinking I have two options. I just bought the Benefit Krista blush, and this is sort of like a very pretty, like strawberry bubblegum type of shade. And you know how in the fall, when it gets colder, your cheeks get really pink? I love that moment. So maybe either this, or another option I have is Total Berry by Trixie Mattel, which honestly is a completely different shade. But what I was thinking is that we maybe like use both shades. Why not, right? So I'm taking my brush and I'm dipping into Krista, And I'm just applying that right around this area, but I'm gonna leave a little space here for Total Betty. By the way, if you're new here, hi, you will quickly learn that I am a clown when it comes to blush. I love blush and I always use too much, but it's something that I'm personally fine with, so you have to get used to it as well. Okay, so now I dipped into Total Betty and I'm using this on the higher point of my cheek just to sort of get a little bit of a gradient going. So I'm actually quite liking the way that that looks. So we can move on to the lip, and I think I'm probably gonna use a Pat McGrath lippy, but I'm gonna use a darker liner on the outside to sort of create this like ombre effect. So for this, I'm actually using the So Juicy lip liner by ColourPop, and I fell in love with this line of lip liners here on camera actually, and since then I've ordered a bunch more shades and I'm waiting for them to arrive. And I'm also going to use it to slightly overline. So besides overlining, I also just filled in my lips a little bit with this, and then I'm going to use the lipstick right sort of in the middle and then marry them together. But so anyways, this is shade Christy. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier or not, and she's like a really pretty peachy shade. So I'm applying that to the center like so, and then I'm just gonna blend it out with my finger a little bit and then add a little bit more of the lip liner in the inner corners of the lip. So now what I'm left with is this nude sort of peachy light pink lip that I'm really happy about, but I have to go put on some mascara now because I forgot to do that earlier, and let my hair down, and then we'll reconvene. And I'm back. So I really like today's look. Honestly, it's exactly the type of dipping my toe into fall makeup that I needed for right now. And let me know if you like it. Let me know if you would do like a more bright orange, or if that's reserved more for like summer sunset vibes to you. But anyway, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then please consider liking, subscribing, maybe even commenting, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!